we're going to draw all of our thoughts together now in various different ways. This session is entitled What's Next for Praxis, and it kind of is, but it's also a drawing together of the day, because in one sense what's next for Praxis is two things. One, it's business as usual. We will continue to put out project calls. We'll continue to encourage you to take your work to conferences and publish from your work, and do all of those things. But we also want to push the boundaries a little bit and think about how we can build our scholarship in the ways that take us right back to the beginning of the day, and think about how we can challenge structures, how we can, by design, make our modules more inclusive. What pedagogy should we be thinking about as we develop our online learning post-pandemic, with all kinds of new technologies at our disposal? So part of the what's next for Praxis comes from what you've been challenged and inspired by today. And there's 2 or 3 things we're going to do now. And the first one means you can get your Play-Doh back out, as I'm sure you've been desperate to do if you haven't had it out all day, to be fair, which some of you might have done. So I want you to now sum up your day at the festival. So you're going to return to your Play-Doh. If you've still got your morning piece of Play-Doh, it might be quite interesting and therapeutic to transform that model that you made earlier this morning into the afternoon reality. So what will you model now that captures your experience today, either literally or metaphorically? So you may have already remolded your thing from this morning. That's absolutely fine. But if you haven't, it's quite an interesting thing to kind of transform from your expectations this morning into your experience this afternoon. And again, in a little while, I'm going to ask you to put your cameras on. We've got time for a few more contributions this afternoon, so we'll take some time over that. And then I'm going to take you to a little post-it note and a Padlet activity for those of you that's still enjoying Padlet. I didn't know Kathy was going to use 2 as well. We've been Padleted out today, but never mind. Okay, so first of all, it's the Play-Doh. So what's your experience? Like a model that captures your experience of today, either literally or metaphorically. So I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes to mold that, and then I'm going to ask you to show us. And this time I'm going to take my share of my screen down so that we can get more cameras on the screen, or I can see more cameras on the screen, which will be helpful. Okay, so no pressure, no rush, but if you've got a model ready, carry on modeling, because we're going to be on this for a few minutes, so you can always come to the table a bit later than everybody else. But as you get your models ready, again, if you want to post into the chat box, and my word, Laurie's on already. Laurie, you're going to have to explain that quickly before we kind of come to all sorts of conclusions.
I'm not very artistic, but I started this morning with lots of different ideas. So that's all the blobs, and they've all started to join up together throughout the day. And the biggest blob is now around students, how to bring in students in my next idea for scholarship. So just kind of starting with very dispersed ideas and starting to join them in.
Brilliant. I love that. Yeah, your artistic talents are undeniable. Thank you very Thank you very much. John's posted a lovely question mark. I'll come to you in a minute, John. We've now got eyes wide open. Carolyn, off you go.
Yeah, just an absolute feast using the festival link of things to see and people to see and connections to make, and a bit like Laurie, just kind of, yeah, seeing for the first time connections between quite different ideas but coming together around sort of themes and links. So yeah,
brilliant. Thanks, Carolyn. That's brilliant. John, are you going to explain your big question? I hope it's not too distressing that we've just caused loads of questions.
No, I was just going to say I came into the day with hoping for some answers, and I'm leaving with lots of questions, which is a good thing, I think, and lots of things to think about.
Great, thanks, John. That's really helpful. And yeah, I mean, I think our students are a bit like this, aren't they? Sometimes they've got all the answers and we just give them questions. So okay, don't be shy. There are definitely more of you out there that can challenge Laurie's Play-Doh artistry. Okay, so we've got Kathy Chandler, and then I'm going to go to Margaret Taylor. So Kathy.
So I've got 2 heads because I've constantly found myself flipping between my student head and my staff head, and they're quite close together. But it's been really useful sort of having those 2 perspectives and thinking, yeah, how can I bring those closer?
Brilliant, thank you. And Kathy is a presenter from last year who's since got her doctorate and is now working for the university full time. I think, Kathy, aren't you? So a trajectory from student to staff member there. That's been really cool. I think was Margaret's hand was up. Is Margaret there?
Yeah. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Claire. Do you know what? This is very exciting, which I'm just going to share for everybody, is that I've been managing Margaret for about 2 or 3 years now, and this is the first time I've actually seen her face. So, Margaret, you're going to have to put your camera on.
I can't.
Oh no, disaster.
It won't let me, put it that way.
Oh, dash it.
I don't know why, but
somebody's disabled your camera, Margaret, I think.
Yes, it works this morning, all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
keep talking anyway.
I can describe what I've done. It's just very simple because I'm not very creative. I've done letters. I've done 3 letters, right? One is A for applaud, because I'm just about to embark on my applaud journey anyway.
Right.
If I'm accepted. So I will take that away. And then I've got S and R for student scholarship and research.
Great.
Because I've been so inspired by what I've heard today, and sort of days like this are so nice because you get to hear about things that are going on in the university that actually I'm not very aware of, or how much is going on. You know, I knew it was going on, but not in such detail and such, you know, in different faculties and different schools. So I've been really sort of inspired by that today. So thank you for all the people that have presented.
Yeah, it's been lovely to have you with us, Margaret, and I'm glad that you found it a really inspiring day.
Yeah,
so I mean, that's one of the beauties of this role that I have is seeing across the faculty some of the amazing work that's been going on. Dorothy, I'm just wondering if you can turn on your camera and show us your completely full fruit bowl. Well, the one with grapes in anyway. Is Dorothy there? Dorothy's gone shy. Look, she's like, I'm not coming on the camera. Anybody else? Oh, Margaret, and they're not Margaret. They were. Oh, there's Margaret. We can see your face now. There we go. Your camera's working. How exciting! That's very cool. Great. Anybody else willing to show us or comment in the chat or post it on Twitter? We've got some fabulous Twitter posts going on. Dorothy's saying she hasn't got a camera. It's on her to-do list. That's what the students say, isn't it, when they don't want to turn their cameras on? Yeah. Well, Dorothy, I'm imagining your grape-filled bowl, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, we also gave you some post-it notes in your goodie bag. And I know for some people I've just given you a nightmare of a task by making you do something with Play-Doh, and you would much rather write something. So I just want you to capture on a post-it note a word or a phrase. So a word or a phrase, not an entire essay, that sums up your day. And then we're going to do something with those in a minute. So a word or a phrase that captures your day for me. That would be great. And while you do that, I'm going to pop a link into the we've just got another picture now arriving. Jackie's saying, microscope from this morning, searching for the evidence base for our pedagogy through scholarship. I need a considerably bigger microscope, having heard all of today's discussions and presentations. Thanks. That's amazing, Jackie. I love that. Great. So while you're writing, I'm going to ask Margaret to turn your camera off, and I'm going to ask Marina and Marina and Carolyn to turn their cameras on.
But she can stop it as well, you know.
There you go. There's Carolyn. Where's Marina gone? Not like Marina to be shy.
Oh, I'm here. I'm like that naughty little fairy that pops up every time when you're least expecting her. Sorry about that.
This is the next bit is I'm going to send you to a Padlet. You might have already found it because I've put the link in there. So behind the scenes all day. Well, Carolyn and Marina, do you want to tell us what you've been doing? Just Carolyn, go first, and then Marina. Tell us what I asked you to do.
So basically what we've been doing is we've been listening and engaging in all of the presentations and workshops, and we have been what I'm going to call graffiti walling the quotes and images and all the kind of contributions throughout the day, and trying to kind of make a mess with them. I wouldn't say we're going to make sense of them, because it really isn't sensible. It's messy because it's links and connections, and yeah, just trying to bring threads together into this kind of messy Padlet. So yeah, does that make sense? Marina, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, do you want to add to that, Marina?
No, absolutely. We've just tried to capture from each of the sessions, including the plenary, some ideas and thoughts to really stimulate and inspire. I think that's probably so. Just dip in, use as you will, take what you will, and happy sharing.
I mean,
I think it's important to say, sorry, Kai, it's important to say that there's so much there, and obviously this is just Marina and I's sort of perceptions of it and the connections that we would make. You might well have made different connections, but it as Marina says, it's a starting point to think with.
Great. And so I want to first of all say a massive thank you. You know, when you have those ideas about a conference and you're like, oh, I wonder if this would work, and then you call two colleagues and they go, yeah, we'll do that, and they've absolutely smashed it. So if you find nothing else, that we had to have a mad cat gif, and so if you can find the one that says student types and look at the cat's typing, that's my favorite. But what I'd really like you to do is to head over to that Padlet, and I'm going to just turn my camera off for about 5 or 6 minutes, because I want you to just enjoy what Carolyn and Marina have done. And they've put GIFs on there, they've put images up there, they've linked ideas together in all kinds of ways. So first of all, I just want you to browse that Padlet, and you'll need to use your sideways and your bottom of screen scrolling to get the kind of the whole depth of it, because there's an awful lot on there. And then what I want you to do, you're able to add yourself, is to just add a little post-it of your own. It'll be what you've just written on your own post-it. So no kind of images or things required. It's just me wanting to capture your reactions. Now, feel free to put those where you want. There are some spaces in between where Carol and Marina have posted. There's also, if you're the kind of person that likes it to be much tidier than that, if you go all the way across to the right-hand side of your screen, you can just put it over there out of the way. Okay, so we've tried to create an option for both types of people. Okay, so you might find something on the Padlet and you think, do you know what, the phrase or the word that I've written absolutely fits there, in which case put it there. If it's not, and you just want to put it separately so that we can see it there, then that would also be great. So as I said, this is your time now to react to, respond to what you've heard and seen today. I'm going to give you several minutes to do that, 5 or 6 minutes, to have a good look. It won't disappear, so it'll stay up. You can revisit it. But I'm going to give you that time, and then we'll come back and draw together some of those thoughts and ideas as we finish off the day. So it's over to you. Go and take a look at the Padlet. Go and add your words or phrases to that Padlet. And I'll see you in a few minutes' time. I'm sorry. Brilliant. The Padlet is looking amazing, and I'm going to leave it up for you to go back to and have a look at. I'm certainly going to spend some time going back through that. Just as I was looking at it briefly, and it's only a quick capture, isn't it? And all the things that we capture will be things that speak to us particularly. But as I was just going back through it, I was struck by a couple of things, and it just kind of took me back to the 2 slides that I showed first thing this morning, that idea of teaching as a radical act of hope. I think that's come through today, and I think it was so Kathy didn't, I don't think, necessarily know that we'd had Peter and Susanna last year and that they'd talked about that hopeful academic communities, but she used them in her talk, and I think that I'm convinced that as people doing the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, we can be quite hopeful in our work, because I think we're doing something that's really important. I think we're doing something that allows our teaching and learning to kind of come under scrutiny, to think differently about it, and to find different ways of doing it. And as I was listening into all the conversations today, as I was looking at the Padlet just then, there were 2 things that struck me that I wanted to leave you with. The first one was the value of relationships. That came up in Kathy's talk. It's evident on the Padlet as well. And the value of building relationships across the different contexts in which we're operating. So us building relationships with students building relationships with us, and the ways in which we can build those through co-creation, through collaboration, through really hearing the different voices, and properly listening to those voices and appreciating different perspectives, and then asking, so what? So now we've built those relationships, we're hearing one another. How can we take those things and begin to think about what difference would they make if we really built on these collaborations and these relationships and we use them for something transformative? And I think we've seen evidence of some of that work going on today, and it would be great to think about how we could build on that, particularly as we think about working much more effectively with students as partners or co-creators, as Kathy also talked about, in all kinds of aspects, perhaps not even just the scholarship. I've heard a lot today about how we might embed that kind of thinking into the design of our modules, which I think is really important. And I think the other thing that allows us to do is to do the very thing that I was sort of challenging myself as much as anybody else about, actually, how does the scholarship work we do move beyond the things that we do now and really begin to challenge at structural level some of the things that are making education still inequitable and unjust. And so the idea of scholarship as disruption came across to me really strongly. It always does, partly because I'm always listening out for it, I guess. But the idea that we need to challenge assumptions, we need to do things differently, that we could flip power relationships by the ways that we build relationships across boundaries of students and staff. Looking at the different ways of designing modules to create space for thinking, for researching, and all of those kind of things. So different ways of doing, and how can we use scholarship to investigate those, to push the boundaries, and ultimately to contribute to the kind of shaping of new boundaries and moving beyond them to make our offering to our students even more equitable than it already is. And so I just want to end by saying a massive thank you, and I will almost certainly miss someone, so I'm just going to say thank you to absolutely everyone who has participated today, which actually means every one of you, because these things don't work if participants don't get engaged. And so thank you for doing that. But we've got presenters still here. We've got people who've been working away behind the scenes. And it's been a really fabulous day. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. And as always, Praxis is open for conversation, for dialogue around anything that you think we can be doing to push those boundaries and explore teaching and learning in more radical ways. So thank you ever so much. I don't know about you, but I'm going for a lie down in a darkened room somewhere. But you've been brilliant, and it's been a really good day. So thank you very much indeed, and have a good evening.